Frustrated with a kid who's struggling with a lot of behavior problems? That's understandable. It can be immensely stressful and draining to try to help a kid who's struggling like that. And kids who have a lot of behavior problems can often show a lot of complex behaviors. However, one word that I hear a lot about kids is that they're manipulative. And gosh, I gotta tell you, I'm not sure I buy it. Hi everyone, this is Dr. Brett Pearce, child psychologist, and today I would like to talk with you about the word manipulative in connection with kids. And it's a word that I hear fairly frequently to describe kids, particularly when they're struggling with a lot of behavior problems. And I must tell you frankly that I object to the use of that word, and we'll get into that here. There's basically three reasons that I don't believe that it's helpful or even necessarily that accurate to consider a child to be manipulative. There's three reasons that I object to it. First of all, we all want things all the time, and we all do things to get what we want or need. It's true. It's all part of being a person, being a creature. There's nothing right or wrong with it. Second of all, when we call kids manipulative, it often has a lot more to do with our own frustration with the kiddo than necessarily always the kiddo themselves. And I'll explain more about that in a bit. And then number three, the third reason I don't think it's helpful to really put a lot of stock in a kid being manipulative is because it doesn't really help anything when push comes to shove. Basically, the question I would say is, well, where is that going to leave us if it's true? So let's talk about the first thing. So I guess I need to take back my earlier point about not thinking that it's accurate exactly, because if we're talking about the term manipulative, meaning the kid's doing something to get what he or she wants, then the answer is, well, of course. I mean, we all want things. I want things in talking about this video. I want things in talking about the term manipulation. If you sent me an email or a comment objecting to me making this video, you would want things in that situation. That's okay. We all want things. Kids are no different. Now, the word manipulative often carries with it a sort of connotation. And so it's not just about trying to get what you want, but there's a connotation about using sort of deception or kind of underhanded tactics. And absolutely, kids are more than capable of lying or, kind of cajoling, things like that in order to try to get what they want. And hey, so are adults. However, very often the assumption behind calling a kid manipulative is to say that you think that they're doing it on purpose, like they've got this crafted plan, to get what they want. And I'm sure sometimes that's true, and there's plenty of time where it really, really, really isn't. Kids who are younger in particular often, don't quite have the cognitive capacity to quite get the idea that other people have their own minds and their own perspectives, let alone have this ability to try to get in your head and craft this plot for how they're gonna get you to do what they want you to do. It's more that just we all make associations. That's effectively what our minds do, is they're just these incredible association machines. And so kiddo's going to start to pair certain things like, oh, well, when I whine, you tend to be more inclined to give me what I want, or something like that. And that's not right or wrong. It's just a normal part of having a mind. But most of the time when kiddos are doing a lot of misbehaviors and we start to feel like maybe they're being manipulative, what's going on is that kiddo is just trying to get their wants and needs met and address their feelings. And they just don't really know how to do that well. They've got these instincts that basically say, I need to address needs and wants. That's a good thing. And they just sort of go. So it's important for us to really go, well, are they being manipulative, or are they just sort of trying to get their needs met in a way that pretty much everyone on planet Earth is? And what can I do to try to help them get those needs met in a more constructive and helpful way? So that's the first point, that it might in some sense sort of be technically accurate that kids are manipulating, but you know, I mean, everyone would be manipulative then, I guess. And very often when kiddos are doing things that seem underhanded or deceitful, it's often that they just don't really get it or even know any better. And this is especially true with younger kids, because they just don't usually have quite the brain development to truly be that great at sort of understanding someone's motives and crafting a plot to try to get what they want. So the second the second point that I would like to make is that, in a sense, I'm sort of saying that when we call a kid manipulative, and that's what we really consider them, if we're careful and we slow down, we'll realize that doing so is serving a need for us. Is it wrong for us to have wants and needs? No, absolutely not. And when kiddos are struggling with lots of misbehaviors, it can be very hard. It can hurt our feelings. It can make us mad. It can make us frustrated and drained. I mean, it's totally understandable to have lots of different feelings for us adults when we're helping kids with misbehaviors. However, when we saying that a kid's being manipulative, it sort of serves to kind of like dismiss the kid in a sense. It has a dismissive quality to it. Like, oh, well, whatever it is they're doing, there's this kind of underhanded quality to it. And so we don't really need to go any further with this. It's just that the kid's being manipulative. And that's usually the function I see that term serving for us. It feels a little bit like we're just really frustrated with the kid and we're trying to deal with that frustration by going that direction. And what's hard is that there's a lot of different directions we could go. We could say, yeah, well, I kind of do think they're being manipulative, or maybe they're also themselves really distressed and frustrated and overwhelmed and they don't know what else to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's all kinds of different possibilities we can reach for. So this leads me to my third point, because you're probably saying, great, well, that's nice. Why should we care? I mean, what if my kid really is being manipulative? Well, my third point is about the usefulness of deciding that a kid's being manipulative. I mean, if it's true, what does that really mean? It just means that the kid is using strategies, probably not even necessarily consciously, to try to get their needs met that we don't consider to be fair, respectful, honest, useful, things like that. And so we end up coming back to square one and just saying, well, we need to help them figure out better, more useful ways of handling their feelings and needs and wants anyway. It really doesn't do anything for us. Like, we're not going to craft some sort of unique intervention for the kid based upon this conclusion that they're being manipulative. And it can kind of serve to just create sort of a bit of a conflict, I guess, between us and the kid, because we're going, well, you're manipulating me. I'm not going to let you manipulate me. And the kid's going, probably like, I don't even know what that means, and I just have all these feelings and wants and needs and instincts and habits, and I'm overwhelmed and I'm trying to get my needs met. So it just doesn't really leave us, I think, anywhere that helpful. So what I think we should do instead of worrying too much about whether a child is being manipulative is for us to just think about, okay, what are good behavior management strategies? And I talk a lot about those in this, or on this channel rather, and those involve things like identification of needs, setting appropriate expectations, teaching skills, helping the kid to learn and understand feelings and thoughts and things like that. The list goes on. It's a pretty complicated subject. It just works so much better for us to think of misbehaviors as an expression of a need, and often as misbehaviors as sort of attempts to address needs, but often not in helpful or useful ways. So these are the reasons that I don't consider going the direction of kids are being manipulative to be that helpful when push comes to shove. So thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please do subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Give me a thumbs up, and there's a bell notification that you can smash right now if you want to be notified when my next video goes live. For now, this is Dr. Brett Pearce, child psychologist, signing off.